Hello everyone, it is Christine here. Welcome to my channel. I am a homeschooling mama of 3. I live in New Zealand in a little coastal town and I share homeschool content here on my channel. You are not going to find like perfectly put together videos or you're just never going to hear that I have my life together because I just don't. I never do it all. There's always something in the background that is being neglected. But I hope that I can share some encouragement with you and some tips to make homeschooling easier, some curriculum reviews. That's the kind of thing I like to share here on my channel. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Today, I'm going to be chatting with you about the All About Reading curriculum and my review 1 year later. Those of you who have been following along for a while will be no stranger to the news that I have used and enjoyed using All About Reading. I stumbled upon that curriculum. I think mainly it was Abby from Rooted and Rest was the person who I first binge watched her videos on All About Reading. And the reason that we switched to that was because we were struggling with the language arts curriculum we were using. There was nothing wrong with the curriculum per se, and in fact we went back to using it and back and forth about certain things, but it was just moving a bit too fast for my son. And as a brand new homeschooling mama myself, I needed something that was really black and white, straightforward to teach, and I knew was very thorough and explained the concepts to me while also explaining them to my child. And so I went ahead and purchased All About Reading. Now, I think we started it maybe in June or July 2020. I think I ordered it in March, I think. I really, 2020 is a bit hazy, guys, and I think you will understand why. But I ordered it, and it took a while to come, but we started it and went through that curriculum for a good long while, and I really enjoyed it. It was exactly what we needed at the time. So All About Reading it does focus on more than just reading, but it is not like a grammar, it's not a comprehensive language arts curriculum. It is primarily focused on teaching reading, and it uses the Orton-Gillingham method of teaching reading, which is very well researched and documented, and it is fabulous for children who struggle with dyslexia. And so if you're looking for something that is just bang on researched, is proven to work, then All About Reading is the curriculum to use. Someone else who uses it a lot is, what is her name? April from the Five Girl Schoolhouse or Five Girl Schoolhouse. She's over on Instagram, and she has extensively talked about All About Reading because she's used it with all her girls. And so I found that really helpful, and I went ahead and took the plunge, which was hard because it's not necessarily a cheap curriculum. But if you buy it directly from them, you can get a full refund, I think up to a year after purchasing it, which is incredible. I had it imported via a third-party company, so I'm not sure the same policy would be in play, but I decided to take a risk and use it anyway, and it worked beautifully well for my son. It was exactly what we needed at the time. It was a saving grace, probably even just reassurance from me more than anything else. And so we worked our way through, probably about halfway through that book. And the lessons don't go like day by day. You don't do a lesson a day per se. You just set a timer for 20 minutes and go with what your child achieves. And so for the first bit of the book, we did a lesson a day. And then as it started to get a lot more challenging, we would split the lessons in half. Sometimes we'd even do one lesson over the course of a week because it was really building on things like fluency. And those are the things that my son found most challenging, was having to go over things and really build up his fluency. So we did that up until the end of last year, and then we took our summer break, and then we started with The Good and the Beautiful again. I actually started this school year with The Good and the Beautiful. We went back to that language arts curriculum, and it worked really well, but then we also hit a point again, and I feel like it always hits a point where it gets to that fluency part where they're learning new words and new concepts, and they just have to really solidify it in their brain. They need their brain to catch up with learning the code of it all. And so we went back to All About Reading, and we're now almost finished the entire book. We have how many lessons left? 5 lessons left. I think we've only got like a week and a half worth of work to do. I'm so excited. I just feel, I don't know, it's just, I've seen my son just grow so tremendously over the course of the last year in his reading skills. And that is so motivating. And I'm just really proud of him. And it's been hard for him to, not to learn how to read, but he's a firstborn. He's like me. He's a perfectionist. And so when he fails at something, what he deems as failure is not failure at all. Like, he will get frustrated if he can't read a new word for the first time perfectly. So that has been hard for him. And so I've seen a lot of character growth and academic growth as well. But to me, it's more important to see the character and just our relationship through it all. It has been frustrating for me as well to sit there and see his frustration, and I have to talk him through that. It can be really hard as a parent, and I have to practice a lot of patience. And so it's been character growing for myself as well, but also for my son. And he was the other day like lamenting over something. He was like learning a new word and he wasn't getting it right straight away, and he was saying how he's terrible at reading, and I was like, honey, that's just not true. Those are lies from the devil. They're not God's truth. And then I picked up the cards that come from All About Reading. So you have these cards with new words on it, and you go over it, and it's to help build fluency and things like that. And it's broken down into the words you need to learn, the ones that you're reviewing and you haven't quite like mastered yet, and then the ones that you have mastered. And I said, okay, you've got this many words that you're reviewing at the moment. And it was, I don't know, like 15 or something, not even that. And I said, these are the words that you have mastered. And it was over 100 words. And he looked at it and was just like, that look in his face was just so cool. He just looked at it and was like, wow, like I did that. And we often do that in life where we're like, frustrated because we're not at a certain point where we want to be, but we fail to look back to where we've come from. And so it was just such a blessing to be able to show that to him in like a physical form. It was like a thick deck of cards like this. Like, you have memorized, your brain knows how to read all of these words now by sight without you having to sound them out. And not that, I should clarify, All About Reading is not a sight. There are very few sight words, and they teach you how to decode it. So his brain, it's not that he can read it by sight. His brain has decoded all of those words and knows how to recognize them now. And now we're like nearing the end of the last reader, and for the most part, he can sit there and just read the words. Like, he only has to stop every few words to sound out a new one that he hasn't read before. But most of the time, he can just fluently read through these books. And so to me, yes, part of it's developmental because we did stop at points where he needed a break. But it also is a very thorough and logical program, and I highly recommend it to any homeschooling mama who is looking for a reading program. I just think there's no fluff. It's still fun and exciting. There's engaging activities. They've got loads of activity and suggestions for how to keep things from being dry and boring. So, because it does get that reputation for being a dry and boring program, it's not. It really isn't. There's loads of suggestions for how to beef it up. For instance, like my son had a Nerf gun, and I would stick the review cards out and he would shoot them as he would read the words. So there's like lots of fun ways to do it. I would play hide and seek where I'd hide them around the room, and as he would find them, he'd read it out. So there are lots of ways to make it fun and interactive, and it comes with an activity book. So it's not dry and boring. It really isn't. So I know that it works. I can highly recommend it, and I will be doing it with my daughter, who will be turning 5 in a couple months, but we won't be starting it until the new calendar year. So February of 2022, she will be starting All About Reading, and I'm excited to see her learn how to read as well. And I'm just so thankful that there are curriculums out there like this that are just so simple for parents to use, like super simple. It was very open and go, and I've been able to reuse all of the activities. I'll be able to reuse them. I cut them out and everything, but I've kept them all in a clear file, so I'm not going to have to purchase anything of that curriculum again, unless something got inadvertently damaged or something like that, but I'm not going to have to. So even though it was a big cost initially, and I say a big cost, but it's only a big cost in comparison to like other language arts curriculums that are just more affordable, but not in general. There are lots of language arts curriculums that are expensive, and this one I don't think is astronomical by any means. So if you are looking for something to start with and you want a really good reading foundation, I can highly recommend it. A lot of families go through and do all 4 levels of All About Reading. We're just doing level 1, and I will see how it goes. I think level 1 is going to be enough for us to get a head start on things. If it's not, I'm not opposed to purchasing level 2. That is my review 1 year later. We've almost finished the book and I'm very pleased with it. I have no regrets about buying it, and I can firmly recommend it to anyone who's looking for a homeschool curriculum. So I hope this was helpful. If you have questions for me, leave them in the comments down below and I'm happy to answer them. But I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach every